Hi, welcome to SCW, Steve Chats Wrestling, right here on youtube.com. Make sure to like the video, please subscribe to the channel now. It is WrestleMania weekend, the perfect time to subscribe and keep up to date with all the news, rumours and my opinions on what we see is going on in the product today of professional wrestling. This video we're going to be talking about NXT Takeover Dallas. This is the full review. Firstly, I'd like to say that one match was pulled from the event and made a dark match instead, which was Apollo Crews and Elias Sampson. So we never actually got to see that match, even though I did actually advertise that it was originally going to be on the event. It was pulled from the last minute, but Apollo Crews won the match, the dark match that was before the event. I did think maybe it could have been on the pre-show, but it wasn't on the pre-show. We were just talking about the event. But anyway, what we did see was 5 matches, and as an overall review, I think that this is possibly the best event wrestling-wise I have seen in at least 2 or 3 years. I think it was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. The crowd were hot. Dallas did a fantastic job. That is what we should be hoping to see every time we turn on wrestling. It really made me feel like we were going back to the glory days of like an Attitude Era, even a Ruthless Aggression Era. And some of the action we got actually had that feel about it as well. There was a purpose, there were stories delivered through the matches that we were watching, and from start to finish was clearly brilliant. Of course, there was a couple of botches and a couple of things that weren't perfect in some of the matches, but come on, let's not be too hard on it. I mean, the show was absolutely incredible. So let's start. American Alpha winning the tag team championships against the Revival. And that was the big botch of the night. Was a move where Jason Gable was held up in almost like a powerbomb position from Dash Wilder and didn't seem to be able to keep hold of it. And as Dawson went down, it kind of almost just completely missed what was going on. So it just kind of turned into almost like a powerbomb rather than, I guess, what was going to be a clothesline at the same time. What would have been a great looking big spot move for the match, but unfortunately was botched, and the crowd of course let them know about it. Yeah, it was a shame that happened, because I mean, there's some great chain wrestling, some good close pinfall combinations, and some very intelligent, clever tag team wrestling. Some moves that had not been pulled out of the bag perhaps on mainstream WWE for a long time, and always kept the viewer guessing, even though I was always fairly confident and said the whole way through American Alpha were going to win. They gave you stages where you believed that it could have gone either way, but it was a victory in the end for American Alpha, a great way to kick off the show despite the one big botch in that match. It would have been a 5-star for me had that not have happened, but well, I'll give that one a 4-star match, because take that out of the equation, it was an incredible tag team match and a great way to kick off the evening. The crowd were hot and they were all over American Alpha. Big fan of Jason Jordan, should I say, and Chad Gable. Very, very popular tag team indeed. And yeah, this was a great way to get the show started. The second match we had was the in-ring debut of Austin Aries against Baron Corbin. It was a good match, but it probably was my least favorite match of the card. But it looked like that the End of Days was going to finish it for a victory with Baron Corbin, but Austin Aries managed to counter that and managed to get a roll-up for a victory. I suppose this perhaps was the most credible way for Austin Aries to get a victory. I mean, he's not going to get a brainbuster on Corbin, and was a good way to get him on the victory column in NXT, and it's now clear that Austin Aries is here to stay. I'm sure now we'll see him more often on a weekly basis on the NXT product on the WWE network. Our third match, and wow, just wow, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. What an incredible match. 5-star from me. The entrance music, I mean, one thing that really needs to be kind of emphasised is the importance of entrance music for superstars. And I tell you what, Shinsuke Nakamura, his entrance music and his entrance onto the NXT arena was absolutely incredible. The crowd were lapping it up. I mean, this match was absolute 5-star quality. It was backwards and forwards. It was storytelling, and the really, just for me when watching it, there just was that moment where I realised in my head that wrestling can be great again. You know, there's the age-old debate: have we seen the best of what there is to offer? I've probably even questioned that before we've been on a podcast or on this channel, whether we've seen the best, and is it kind of possible to give fans that buzz anymore. But this is match 3 of the night, and the crowd were just loud throughout the whole thing, eating up every moment, and the match just was absolutely incredible, from the moments where there was poses to the crowd, from the big jumping over the top rope spots. Nakamura was bleeding in the match, It really gave you a feel, an old school feel. I felt like I was watching something from like 2001, 2002, 2003 time in WWE, you know, that kind of close of Attitude Era into Ruthless Aggression Era. And it really makes you sort of challenge. I mean, does wrestling really want to be great again? Well, if you look at this event, there is the potential that it could be great again, and almost really makes you want to challenge why WWE are not actually giving us this on a regular basis. Because if this was what we're getting on a regular basis, I can promise you there would still be Attitude-like ratings. And in fact, I'm going to throw out a challenge here: give us as good as that on WrestleMania as what we've had on NXT, because it was an absolutely incredible event, and this match in particular possibly would have been a match of the evening. But it's hard to call a match of the evening because there were so many great matches, personally for me. But the Kinshasa was the turning point to get Nakamura the victory. That would come after a a knee to the back of the head off the top rope, which was an incredible spot. I think fans were actually chanting "Fight Forever." They didn't want that match to ever end. It was absolutely incredible, and if you get a chance, make sure that you do see that encounter. The following contest was Bayley versus Asuka. Asuka. Yeah, I've got it right somewhere there. But she actually won the NXT Women's Championship. It was a very sort of technical match, really. A lot of submission moves used in the match. Didn't really get that back and forth that you then tend to get normally at the closer matches, but it's nice to see some difference in the matches. It seemed that Asuka had gone for an armbar, as Bayley looked to get out of it. She got herself locked into the Asuka lock. She almost got herself out of it again to then fall back into it. She didn't actually submit, but she passed out from the pain, and it led to a new women's champion. The fans seemed quite disappointed by the result, but I think that's clear that Bayley is now going to be joining up to the main stage. Is it her last match in NXT? Unlike Sami Zayn, I don't think it's her last match in NXT. I think she'll get a rematch at the following Takeover in June, but I expect that she will now be on the main roster after losing the belt in Dallas, Texas. We're going to go then for the main event, which was Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe, and well, another great match again, but unfortunately this was kind of ruined a little bit. There was some bumper heads at the very start of the match. Samoa Joe heavily bleeding from the beginning of the match, multiple stoppages in this match, where obviously health comes first, and of course we always agree health comes first, but Joe seemed to want to continue the match, but it was heavily bleeding under the eye, going down the face, really sort of they had to keep touching him up. I think there must have been about 4, 5, even 6 occasions where the match was stopped for him to be attended to. It did lead to fans shouting out things of like let him fight or make him bleed more. You know, the fans were very bloodthirsty watching it. But this match actually really reminded me of almost like a WrestleMania 17 kind of feel. Again, this ruthless aggression kind of feel. It really kind of had that sort of time zone environment in it. I felt like I was watching a throwback watching this match. But Samoa Joe going for his submission lock, which is more or less like the choke out, but Finn Balor manages to counter it, gets his feet on the turnbuckles to actually knock it over into a pinfall, which got him the victory. That was the one result that I got wrong in the predictions. It looks like Finn Balor is going to be, perhaps maybe still going to be, the poster boy of NXT. It was rumoured a long time ago. Could this mean that Samoa Joe is going to be on Raw instead, or could both of them perhaps make their potential debuts coming up? We'll have to wait and see. But as for the event itself, 5-star for me. It was absolutely incredible. If you have a chance, make sure you watch NXT Takeover Dallas. Absolutely incredible. A very throwback feel, lots of blood, lots of brutality. The matches seemed very believable and great, and if you ask me, wrestling can still be great again. There's a lot of things that I have knocked and been critical on either this channel or podcast in the past, but if they can give us things like this, then I think that is a very bright future going forward. Personally, for me, I look at it and say that maybe instead of looking at people, their credibility is not always given on, say, Raw and SmackDown. You look at the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, the 16 superstars currently in it are not coming across as creditable when you watch WWE programming. And you see them on a weekly basis, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, they come out the curtain and you do not have belief in them. These guys you watch NXT, there's full belief in them, and they need to do that on the main roster. And if they can do that, and they can provide matches like we got on the main roster this evening, or even put the people that should be there on the main roster, there is no reason why the company cannot be great once again. But now we turn over to WrestleMania 32, And my kind of thing is, I'm going to say, is try and top that, because that is going to be hard to top. With the matches that we've got, it's going to be a longer show, of course. Hopefully there's been 1 or 2 surprises potentially rumoured to happen, which I've given to you on this channel. Some seem surprised as well. We'll have to see what is going to happen. Hopefully it's going to be, as good as Takeover. I find it hard to believe at this moment, but hopefully WWE will pull one out of the bag. But that is my review here for NXT Takeover Dallas. What did you think of the event? Did you enjoy it? Please leave your comments in the comment section. And of course, before I leave, how could I forget that Bobby Roode was seen in the crowd as well, and was highlighted in the crowd also. Well, is he going to be an NXT superstar? It's looking quite likely. Please subscribe to this channel now. You've been watching SCW, Steve Chats Wrestling, here on YouTube.com.